And welcome back to another episode of me telling you not to follow my advice. In fact, none of this that I share here on my channel is given as authority or with intent as advice as to what you should do or not do. This is just what I do. There's risk involved in all this. I figure you know that, but so anyway, we're coming up on the opening of my favorite day of my favorite season of the year, I should say, fire deer season here in Michigan, and get my stuff ready and going through it. And there's something I started doing years ago when I was teaching my oldest son how to shoot. And there was him and his best friend, and those boys could shoot a lot of ammo. And I believe 22 long rifle was going up at the time in price. I wanted something with a little more punch anyway. I was never impressed with 22s as far as even small game. So I wanted to be able to shoot my deer rifle more for the same, for the same cost. Have some longer barrel life, not get the gun so hot. I wanted some quieter loads, and something that all I had to do was swap out my loaded round in the chamber to deal with small game or maybe varmint, coyote if there was time. And so what I started getting into was loading cast lead bullets, and at that time they were pretty cheap. I think I was loading them for I could load them for $2 a 100 when I started, but times have changed. It's still quite a bit cheaper given the price of ammo lately, and I wanted to go over, you'll see some guys will talk about reduced recoil loads. They're not a lot different than the full power stuff. You're talking slightly less recoil energy. Not that recoil, for me personally, I'm pretty recoil insensitive, but it wasn't a big change. These loads, here they are, incorporate, these are 165 grain cast lead bullets from, I believe they were Meyer cast bullets. There's also Hunter Supply and myriad of others, and you could cast your own, but I didn't want to get into all that, collecting lead and casting my own. So I was buying them 500 or 1,000 at a time for the bullet. And the cases, essentially with these low power loads, will they last almost indefinitely if the necks get a nail once in a while. If not, what'll happen is they'll start to split right here at the mouth. and you have to toss them, but they really, in my experience, they really don't, they don't get worked too much. If you don't crip them too hard, and you don't push the shoulder back, so it's got a good solid headspace off the shoulder. You don't have to work. You don't have to size the body once it fits your chamber. I mean, it might be a little tight to close the action, and I'm talking mostly like for this is my primary deer rifle is a 30-06. It's a bolt action, so there's plenty of mechanical advantage in the action and get it closed on a piece of brass that's a little bit tight. But these are 165 grain. I settled on the load that I wanted was subsonic. So back when I had a working chronograph, I measured these at right around 950 feet per second. And I've taken a good number of squirrels and porcupines. And if you ever had to dispatch a porcupine, you know that they don't react to even a 22 to the brain. Really doesn't bring them down right away. These, if you center punch a porcupine with these, they come right out of the tree immediately. They're done. So, and I shot them. I recall one time I wanted to see how they reacted to the brush or to the saplings, and I shot shot a couple of them through a aspen stand from up in my tree stand, and I'm talking trees, just about the size of my wrist or maybe a little bit smaller. And I had one of these go through 3 of those trees. And the trees, we're talking 15, 20 feet between the trees, and it tracked straight through. Now, it might have deviated a little bit, but it did not tumble through 3 of those. One of these, they're not a joke. And if you shoot them, the recoil is almost like it really is a slow push. People talk about a slow push. These out of full-size centerfire rifle, really is a slow push, and they're probably not hearing safe. I've never measured the sound, but subsonic, they just they're pretty quiet, without a silencer. But so that's the round, and what I did here is I put together some. I did some numbers just today. Some of these energy values I picked for some common rounds to compare it to common handgun rounds. I pull them off of Wikipedia. So, there's a range. They vary quite a bit. So, I really don't want to argue, bicker about any of that. I know that there's some that are quite a bit higher for the 44 mag, and this is about the top I found for the 357. This was on the high end I saw for the 10 millimeter, but just to give an idea of what kind of power we're talking about, and then the load and the basic price they cost to shoot these things, not counting any equipment you have to load them. But so I went through real quick, and most of these prices I got off of like Midway. A lot of this stuff is out of stock, but that's not going to stay forever, hopefully. This in the 30-06 size case is about the lightest I would go as far as charge, and this load is with Alliant Red Dot. Same thing here. They're both Red Dot. Red Dot's kind of a bulky shotgun powder. So it works for this because you get on the higher end, like this 13 grain load. They say, now I haven't loaded these this hot, but they say it fills half the case. So if an inadvertent double charge would be obvious, if you were to charge, do a double charge, it wouldn't be right up to the mouth, or at least to the neck of the case, and be obvious. And the velocity that some are showing for that is 1,500 feet per second with 824 foot-pounds of energy, as opposed to this 5.5 grain load at 950 is the one I settled on at 331, which compares to a lot of 9mm Luger loads from a handgun, except that I believe with these 165s, even though they're and I should have I don't believe I said that, but the bullets I use are 165 grain, sometimes 170 grain, cast lead, no gas check, just a plain base. Or the manufacturers usually call them a round nose flat point, which that's this profile right here. That's the round nose flat point. Sometimes this flat will be a bit wider. Sometimes it'll be a bit smaller, depending on the style. These are really, really effective. Like I said, on porcupines and small game, they get the job done. And another thing before I go too much more into this is with the reticle in my scope, where I have the let's see, to give a visual here. So we have duplex reticle like this, and then we have the posts. The post. It's not going to be the same on all scopes, but what I have is for my hunting, I prefer the I got Leupold Scout scopes on my deer rifles, and I believe that this gap from this lower post to here at 50 yards, I forget if it was represented a 2-inch gap at 50 yards. It just so worked out for me that if I was zeroed for my full power ammo right here, which my full power stuff was typically 165 grain bowtail soft point. And most of my shots are somewhere around 50. You know, they might be as much as 70, and then down, you know, into the feet category. But this gap represented 2-inch in my scope at 50 yards, and it just so worked out that it pretty much matched the drop, the difference in impact between the full power and the cast. So like at 25, if I held right on this lower post from my my vertical zero with the let me straighten that up, with the subsonic load at 25, it hits here. It represents about a 1-inch drop, which is what it worked out to be. And then at 50, it hits here. Now, someplace after 50, it starts falling apart, and it starts falling below this. But at reasonable ranges, up to 50 yards. I put this right on I put the squirrel's head right here. And if he didn't move, then pretty much they're accurate enough typically to hit a squirrel in the head out to 50. I don't have a target. I'm gonna got rid of those, but definitely something larger like a porcupine or a coyote is not a problem for these. So that's that. The let's see, these hotter loads, 1500 foot per second loading, 824 foot-pounds. I mean, that's getting up there in the power category of the rounds they were hunting deer with in the late 1800s. I mean, they were in there. Not that you should, because these bullets really don't expand. Usually they're cast hard enough to prevent leading, to where they don't expand. Any cavitation you get is from the flat point, and I wouldn't recommend them for that, not for big game. But for varmints, you get your coyotes, porcupines, squirrels, rabbits. They're more than enough. And it's something you can practice. I mean, it doesn't break the bank, you know. You go try to shoot 100 rounds of 30-06. You know, 100 rounds of these is going to be what, 23 bucks. 23 bucks for 100 rounds. It's usually as far as I know, I load most of my ammo, so I really don't know the price. I could look it up, but I'm thinking some quality 30-06 hunting ammo is going to probably be not too far off of this price for 20. So something to practice with, something to have in the in the buttstock shell carrier to deal with a problem, a shooting problem you might have while you're deer hunting, if you don't want to use the good stuff. This is something I found that I appreciate having with me. So and that's about it. That's all I really wanted to go over. Maybe if I get a chance and I get out there in the woods, I can make another part to this video and give a demonstration of what they do. Until then, good luck this season, and thanks for stopping by.